Welcome to Breaking News to Trading Moves.
Glad to be here.
So imagine one single employee, right? He clears out his desk, packs up his coffee mug, and suddenly the biggest tech companies in the world have to review their billion-dollar budgets.
Yeah, it sounds like a movie plot.
It really does. But that is the exact scenario playing out today for you as a market watcher. We are bringing you a clear, focused look at today's specific market catalyst.
Right.
Google just lost a key architect of its artificial intelligence future to OpenAI. And the goal for this episode is pretty straightforward. We talk about the headline, and then we walk through the potential market winners and losers.
Yeah, and the headline here centers entirely on a guy named Noam Shazeer.
Okay.
He served as the co-lead on Google's Gemini project, and, well, he is officially transitioned to OpenAI.
Wow.
For anyone tracking capital allocation in this sector, his name carries immense weight. I mean, he is one of the original co-authors of the core transformer research.
Wait, let me stop you right there for a second. I hear that word transformer thrown around constantly in financial media, but let's actually explain that mechanism for you listening. Like, why is that specific research paper so vital that the person who helped write it commands this much market attention?
Well, it comes down to how machines process language. Before transformers, these artificial intelligence models read text sequentially.
Meaning, like, one after another.
Exactly. They processed information word by word, much like a human reading a book from left to right.
Right?
And that takes time. Plus, it limits how much context the model can grasp at once. The transformer architecture just changed that mechanism entirely.
How so?
It allowed models to process entire blocks of text simultaneously. They could analyze the relationships between all the words in a paragraph all at once, which gives them instant context.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that parallel processing is exactly what makes modern generative artificial intelligence possible. And Shazeer didn't just utilize this technology to build models.
He actually helped build it.
Right, he was instrumental in inventing the framework itself.
So losing him is a direct hit to the brain trust over at Google.
Very much so.
And because, you cannot trade OpenAI on the public markets, the tradable effects of this transfer fall entirely on its partners, its suppliers, and its competitors.
Yeah, that leads us right into the direct fallout.
Right. So Alphabet, ticker GOGL, takes the most immediate hit here. But let me push back a little on the severity of this.
Okay, go ahead.
Are we really saying that a $2 trillion company's stock narrative is pressured because one single guy left? I mean, do they not have thousands of capable engineers working on Gemini?
Oh, they absolutely possess massive engineering depth.
Right.
But in the current artificial intelligence arms race, elite human capital is the single tightest bottleneck. It is actually tighter than the supply of silicon chips or even electricity right now.
Wait, really? Tighter than chips?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you are building models at the scale of Gemini or ChatGPT, the architecture relies on very specific, highly complex decisions. And those decisions are made by a handful of people in the world who actually understand how to scale these systems without them breaking.
Ah, so it's a very small talent pool.
Exactly. So losing a co-lead disrupts continuity. It forces a team to, reevaluate their current developmental roadmap. Furthermore, the knowledge he takes with him is just invaluable.
Because he knows what didn't work.
Yes. He knows what Google tried that failed. And that saves OpenAI from wasting millions of dollars and months of time exploring dead ends.
That makes a lot of sense. It certainly raises questions about Alphabet's ability to retain that top-tier talent. But let's bring Meta platforms into this. That's ticker META.
Yeah, Meta is an important part of the story.
Right, but Shazeer did not leave Meta, and he did not join Meta. Yet they are on our list of potential losers today. Walk me through that logic. Why are they penalized for a trade they weren't even involved in?
It comes down to the baseline cost of operations. Meta operates an enormous artificial intelligence research division.
Right.
And to prevent their own leading researchers from leaving for competitors like OpenAI, well, Meta now faces a very real pressure to increase employee compensation.
So the price of poker goes up.
Precisely. When one top-tier researcher moves, the market rate for that level of talent just adjusts upward across the board.
I think about this like a professional sports league.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right. Like if one high-profile free agent gets an enormous contract from a rival team, every other team in the league is forced to increase their payroll just to keep their current star players from walking away.
Yeah.
The baseline cost of competing just goes up for everyone.
The sports analogy works perfectly, but let's expand on it a bit. Imagine if that star player also demanded a brand new stadium just to stay on the team.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because in this industry, top researchers don't just want higher salaries, they demand access to massive computing resources to test their theories.
Ah, I see.
So Meta isn't just pressured to raise salaries. They're pressured to increase their infrastructure spending just to keep their top talent satisfied with their working conditions. And all of that directly impacts profit margins.
So if Meta and Alphabet are suddenly forced to pour billions more into talent and compute just to keep pace with OpenAI, what does that mean for the smaller players?
It puts them in a tough spot.
Right, because if the foundational models are getting smarter and faster, the companies building basic software features around those models are suddenly in a very precarious position.
Very much so.
Let's look at the enterprise software category. We are talking about Salesforce, ticker CRM, IBM, ticker IBM, and Adobe, ticker ADBE.
The core threat to those companies is commoditization.
Right.
Think about what these enterprise businesses sell. They often market specialized tools for specific corporate tasks.
Like what?
Well, maybe it is a tool for writing sales emails or analyzing customer data or even generating graphic design templates.
Okay, sure.
Their value proposition weakens dramatically if a general-purpose model from OpenAI can suddenly perform that exact same task just as effectively out of the box.
Right, because if ChatGPT gets an upgrade from this new technical leadership and can suddenly draft perfect sales emails on its own, well, why would a business pay Salesforce extra for that specific feature?
Exactly, you wouldn't. So to remain competitive, these established software companies face a tough choice.
What are their options?
They have to invest substantially more capital into developing their own proprietary models to maintain an edge. Or they have to deepen their existing partnerships to get better access to the foundational models.
Or I guess just drop their prices.
Yes, simply reduce the prices they charge for their software features. And every single one of those options pressures their bottom line.
And we also have a list of smaller, standalone artificial intelligence companies facing these identical pressures today.
They do.
That includes names like C3.ai, ticker AI, SoundHound AI, ticker SOUN, and BigBear.ai, ticker BBAI.
Yet the mechanism of pressure is the same, but the risk profile is much higher for smaller firms.
Because they don't have the cash reserves.
That and better general-purpose models make highly specific features much easier and cheaper to reproduce. Often, these smaller companies just act as wrappers.
What do you mean by wrappers?
Well, they buy access to a foundational model, build a user-friendly interface around it, and then sell it to a specific niche.
Oh, like a dental office or a law firm?
Exactly. But if a broader model masters complex voice recognition or specialized predictive analytics natively, it increases competition dramatically for companies whose entire business model relies on that single application.
You know what this reminds me of? It is the exact dynamic of a high-end smartphone camera making dedicated point-and-shoot digital cameras obsolete.
That is a great comparison.
Right. The smartphone was never a dedicated camera company. But
Right.
because its general hardware and software got so good, it completely absorbed the market for the single-use product.
Yet the general tool crossed a threshold of capability, and the specialized tool just lost its necessity.
Exactly.
And this technological convergence operates on that exact principle.
Right.
While these standalone companies still participate in the broader industry, the actual financial value moves away from them.
Where does it go?
The value increasingly concentrates toward the businesses controlling the strongest foundational models.
Which perfectly pivots our focus here. We just discussed the companies forced to spend more money just to survive. Now let's track where all that extra spending is actually going.
The suppliers.
Yes, let's look at the direct winners, the suppliers. Starting with the cloud partners, we have Microsoft, ticker MSFT, Amazon, ticker AMZN, and Oracle, ticker ORCL.
A stronger OpenAI directly translates into increased demand for raw computing capacity.
Makes sense.
And Microsoft sits right at the center of this dynamic because it is OpenAI's primary cloud partner. When OpenAI trains a new model, or when millions of users query ChatGPT, that processing happens on Microsoft's servers.
But Amazon and Oracle are in the mix too.
Oh, absolutely. Amazon and Oracle capture this broad infrastructure demand as well. They essentially lease the digital real estate, where these massive mathematical operations take place.
Then we follow the money to the physical hardware itself, the chip and networking suppliers. We're looking at Nvidia, ticker NVDA, Advanced Micro Devices, ticker AMD, and Broadcom, ticker AVGO.
Yeah, this is where the competition between OpenAI, Alphabet, and Meta translates into physical reality.
Right.
We talked earlier about how the transformer architecture relies on parallel processing, doing millions of calculations at the exact same time.
And standard chips can't do that.
Traditional computer processors cannot handle that workload efficiently at all.
Huh?
A traditional processor is like a sports car. It is very fast at completing one task at a time.
Okay.
But artificial intelligence requires a fleet of buses. They might move slower individually, but they move massive amounts of data simultaneously.
And Nvidia builds the buses.
Correct. Nvidia leads the market in accelerators, which are the specialized chips designed specifically for that parallel processing. And AMD is capturing demand with their competing accelerators.
And what about Broadcom? Where do they fit into the hardware stack?
Broadcom benefits from the need for custom silicon and high-speed networking components. You see, you don't just use one chip to train these models. You use tens of thousands of them working together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Broadcom provides the critical components that allow those chips to communicate with each other at lightning speed inside a server rack.
This is the classic picks and shovels dynamic. Regardless of whether Alphabet, Meta, or OpenAI ultimately wins the software race, every single one of those competitors is forced to pay a massive toll to the hardware makers.
Exactly.
They cannot write the code without first buying the silicon.
The competition itself is the catalyst for hardware revenue. The fiercer the competition becomes, which is driven by moves like elite talent transferring between rivals, the more capital is allocated to securing the silicon required to train the next generation of models.
Let's follow that capital even further down the supply chain then.
Yeah.
We are moving from the silicon chips themselves to the actual physical environments required to house and run them. And, I want to push back on this abstract concept of the cloud that we always hear about in tech presentations.
The invisible cloud.
Right. We always talk about the cloud like it is this invisible, weightless thing. But listening to you list off these hardware demands, it sounds more like heavy industrial manufacturing.
It really is.
So for you listening, it is vital to remember that this technology relies on heavy industrial machinery. Let's track the data center infrastructure companies. We have Vertiv, ticker VRT, Arista Networks, ticker ANET, and Eaton, ticker ETN.
When you actually look at the physical footprint of these models, the industrial scale is massive. Upgrading capabilities requires larger data centers, and those facilities demand entirely different power profiles than traditional computing. Well, standard computing is like a steady jog. Training these models is a full-out sprint. The server racks draw immense amounts of electricity, which generates an enormous amount of heat.
And traditional air conditioning literally cannot cool them fast enough, right? Which brings us to Vertiv.
Precisely. You need specialized liquid cooling systems and highly complex power management hardware just to prevent those densely packed servers from melting down.
Wow.
And that is Vertiv's domain. Then you have Arista Networks, providing the physical networking hardware that routes the data between those boiling hot racks. Finally, Eaton is heavily exposed to the electrical grid upgrades required to deliver that immense power from the local utility directly to the data center. Data centers used to require 10 megawatts of power. The new facilities require 100 megawatts, sometimes even more.
That's a massive jump.
It is. That requires utility-scale electrical substations, which is Eaton's business.
So the software is weightless, sure, but the physical reality of running it is heavy industry. Now, Shazeer's move to OpenAI doesn't change the quarterly earnings of Vertiv or Eaton tomorrow.
No, definitely not.
But the mechanics we are outlining here show that stronger competition accelerates long-term data center spending across the board. Every time a major player attempts to accelerate their model development, it mandates a physical expansion of this infrastructure.
Exactly. The narrative translates directly into poured concrete, copper wiring, and liquid cooling systems.
Well, we have mapped the entire chain today, from the elite personnel down to the liquid cooling systems. Let's synthesize this into practical observations. What is the bottom line for the market watcher right now?
I'd say the most direct negative read-through from this specific news item targets Alphabet, ticker GOOGL. However, as we discussed, one personnel departure is unlikely to derail the Gemini project on its own. It is simply a data point indicating internal disruption and the rising cost of talent retention. Alphabet possesses massive resources, but they now have to deploy more of those resources just to maintain their current trajectory.
And what is the overarching theme for the winners?
The more durable long-term theme is continued capital spending. The arms race mentality remains intact, and that continuous spending cycle overwhelmingly favors the hardware and infrastructure providers.
Which one specifically?
Specifically, that points toward Nvidia, ticker NVDA, Advanced Micro Devices, ticker AMD, Oracle, ticker ORCL, Vertiv, ticker VRT, and Arista Networks, ticker ANET. As long as the primary developers remain locked in competition, capital will flow to those underlying suppliers.
Based on the mechanics we outlined today, what specific events should the listener be looking out for next to confirm this trend?
Traders should watch for 3 specific types of announcement. First, any further Alphabet leadership changes or subsequent departures from their research teams. Second, official announcements regarding delays in the release schedule for upcoming models. And third, any revised capital expenditure guidance from the major tech companies indicating higher than expected infrastructure spending.
So real data.
Yes. Until those specific events provide concrete data, much of the immediate market reaction to personnel moves remains driven by sentiment rather than a confirmed mathematical change in forward earnings.
That provides a very clear roadmap of the forces at play today. I want to leave you with a final thought to consider as you watch this sector develop. We just traced how the actual financial value is concentrating so heavily toward the few businesses controlling the physical infrastructure and the absolute strongest core models.
Right.
If that trend accelerates, what does the future look like for the thousands of smaller software startups trying to build on top of them? Will they find a way to offer unique value, or will they simply be absorbed by the hardware and foundational model giants?
Yeah, that's the big question.
This is not financial advice or buy or sell recommendations. This is purely the opinion of the author.